Right now at 6, time running out to avert a historic strike.
I mean, it's really going to have an impact on the patients and the patient care.
Plus, burglars target bakeries and small businesses from North Portland to Wilsonville.
To know that he was just in there and had sneaked in, like, it doesn't feel safe.
And city workers push back on a plan requiring them to be in the office more often.
I don't think mandating employees come back 8 hours a day is the key to revitalizing downtown.
How Portland's brand new mayor is now pivoting. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Pedowanich. We are just 3 days away from what could be the largest healthcare worker strike ever in Oregon. And for the first time, it would include doctors in the Providence healthcare system.
Tim Gordon's in the newsroom. And Tim, a strike will not happen if there is some sort of a deal. What are you hearing about negotiations?
Well, this afternoon, Providence said there's, quote, lots of work going on, and 2 women's clinic bargaining units will be negotiating tomorrow. That includes physicians and nurses, but there are no new updates from the union side today. Of course, any progress is important because a strike would affect thousands of patients. A major strike looming. Nearly 5,000 health caregivers, from nurses to doctors, an unprecedented call to action against Providence Health. It's set to start Friday morning if the contract impasse doesn't end.
It's high stakes, anything could happen, but typically workers with leverage will exercise that leverage, and the pressure is going to keep boiling until somebody gives.
Keith Cunningham Parmenter is a Lewis and Clark Law School professor specializing in labor issues. He says the fact that doctors are now part of a union and willing to strike to improve working conditions and patient care is a really big change.
You know, they used to be sort of that identity of noble caregiver. And I think more and more doctors are seeing themselves as just another cog in a bloated healthcare system. And these doctors have said enough.
But a strike this size would have a huge impact, at least short term, on people expecting medical care in the Providence system. On Monday, Providence warned the Oregon Health Authority that it will create a significant risk for health care in Oregon because bringing in replacement doctors is hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's really going to have an impact on the patients and the patient care.
Carolyn Zook is a Lewis and Clark Health Studies instructor with lots of experience in the healthcare world in Oregon. She says there are things you can do today to prepare for a strike to come.
So thinking about checking your insurance now before there's a true emergency, maybe seeing if there are urgent care facilities nearby them that are covered by their insurance.
Zook says if you have appointments or procedures set with Providence, call in and ask questions. If it's not urgent, you may reset for later, or maybe your insurance will let you go elsewhere. It depends upon your situation. But Zook says one thing we can all do is be informed and try to stay healthy.
Also, our standard public health practices like washing our hands, staying home if we aren't feeling well, if we're able to.
Of course, there is still time to settle before a strike, and this law professor, who's seen a lot of negotiations, thinks it's more likely that they will.
I think it might reach the 11th hour, but there's just too much at stake, both for the doctors and for the hospitals, yeah.
Yeah, but no guarantees. So again, best to prepare. We have more information and some links to some sites that will help you take charge of your health care at KGW.com. And of course, we're going to continue to follow this story for you in the coming days. Christine?
Yeah, a lot of people out there scrambling to get their health care figured out. Hope both sides come to an agreement. Thank you, Tim. In your headlines, there is a new indictment tonight against a retired St. Helens high school teacher. According to the updated court documents, Mark Collins, a former math teacher, faces an additional sex abuse charge. He's now accused of abusing 4 minors, but his previous felony charges were reduced to misdemeanors. Collins is one of 2 teachers first arrested in November who sparked a growing sex abuse investigation within the St. Helens School District.
Police have identified the man who was shot and killed at a Northeast Portland motel on New Year's Eve. 28-year-old Malik Devin Henson of Texas died after he was shot in the parking lot of the Quality Inn at 82nd and Sandy. Henson's death was the 3rd in less than 2 months at that same location. No word from police on any suspects or arrests.
A federal lawsuit against a real estate software company over an alleged scheme to drive up rent prices has expanded to include major landlords in the Portland metro area. The Justice Department sued the company RealPage last summer. They allege its software uses an algorithm to set rents for competing landlords, effectively fixing prices across the market. Today, the DOJ added 6 of those landlords to the lawsuit, including Greystar and Cushman & Wakefield. In a statement, Greystar denied the allegations. Attorneys general in Oregon and Washington have also signed on to that lawsuit.
And happening right now, the Portland Public School Board is about to get underway with a meeting where later tonight we expect it to vote on a new district-wide cell phone policy. Now, one proposal would require all phones be turned off and put away throughout the school day, though with some exceptions. The other would allow an exception for high schoolers to access their phones during lunch only. We will have that decision for you when it happens on KGW.com and tonight on KGW News at 11. Matt?
All right, David, thanks very much. It was not as warm today as it was yesterday. It wasn't as sunny, but it was dry and still pretty good. 44 degrees in Portland right now. The east winds are with us. I'll show you what's going to happen with those in a minute. But today, boy, they were strong, gusting to nearly 70 miles an hour at Crown Point, 65 at Corbett. West Hills had gusts over 30. So did the Glen Jackson Bridge going up into Vancouver. So it was a windy day. That helped contribute to our cooler temperatures, as did the cloud cover that we have. Let's check this wind forecast. So this is tonight. Notice the east winds out in the gorge, 38, 40 miles an hour, about 30 miles an hour in Portland. But look, by morning, they basically go flat. They don't completely disappear, but they really back off. Then they ramp up again tomorrow night. They get strong again. Maybe not as strong as today, but they're strong. And over at the coast, we start to see a south wind kick in. And then look, suddenly on Friday, we see that south and west wind take over, push the stronger winds farther on off to the east. So yes, we'll be dealing with east winds, but no rain until we get into Friday with the one storm that is in our 7-day forecast. Hey, you know who else is dealing with strong offshore winds? Southern California. That's the smoke plume from the Palisades fire near Los Angeles that they have mandatory evacuations for, that we've been showing you on the news. Just brutal conditions down that way. For us, our headlines include more east winds and a clearing sky. Friday, we get rain and mountain snow, pretty good amount, and then back to dry weather later in the weekend, guys. Back to you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Matt. A string of burglaries at local bakeries has customers rallying support for the small businesses on social media.
And as Lily Dowsett reports, it appears at least a few of the crimes may be connected to the same person.
From North Portland to Northwest Portland to here in Charbonneau, burglars are breaking into bakeries, chocolate shops, and other businesses looking for some quick cash.
It feels incredibly violating.
When Chanel Walters arrived at her family's bakery, Lux Sucre, in Charbonneau at 4 a.m. Monday, someone had rifled through their office and taken off with the cash box.
They came for one specific thing, and it was cash, and they definitely got some.
No broken doors here, but Walters says the burglar used a crowbar to get in. According to the video, spent 3 minutes finding the $2,500 in cash and then shut the door on the way out.
He knew exactly where to go, and so we're questioning, is it someone that tipped him off from our team?
But she says her employees are not that type, and now she feels anxious in her own business.
To know that he was just in there and had sneaked in, like, it doesn't feel safe.
One night earlier in North Portland, someone broke into Dream Cakes on Northeast Sandy Boulevard. The owner tells us her neighboring bakeries, Pie Spot and Dough Donuts, also got hit by what appears to be the same person. At Dream Cakes, the man just took an old iPad. A small blue car is visible in the surveillance video. Across town on Northwest 23rd, Creo Chocolate still has a boarded-up door from a string of Friday night break-ins in Northwest. The burglar spent less than a minute in the store, and finding Creo's till empty, the burglar left.
Could have been worse. We're grateful it wasn't, but still, huge pain.
Will Leather Goods next door also broken into and didn't lose any product, but will also be forced to fix its door.
It's been pretty safe here and not a big problem, but it can happen anywhere.
And since the burglaries, customers have taken to social media to support their favorite businesses.
A lot of the comments that was seen was very saddened, very frustrated, very irritated that why are we as a society okay with this, and how do we do better?
Here at Lex Sucra, the owner tells us her husband had been collecting old money, $2 bills, $50 bills, and 100s, and all of that money was in the lockbox the burglar took. Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
We're following up this evening on the first human death from bird flu in the U.S., a person over 65 in Louisiana who health officials say was exposed to a backyard flock along with wild birds as well.
That's right. The CDC believes the risk of human infection is low, but people who work with poultry, dairy cows, or in slaughterhouses or hatcheries are at a higher risk. Last year, the virus infected 66 people nationally, including 11 in Washington and 1 in Oregon. Then last month, a cat in Washington County died after eating raw turkey meat in cat food. To keep yourself safe, health experts say get your flu shot, cook poultry all the way through, and avoid raw milk. Pasteurization kills bacteria and viruses. As for your pets,
so keeping dogs on leash if you're walking them in areas where there are lots of waterfowl. Big fields tend to be really popular among ducks and geese, which unfortunately is often what is popular with dogs.
And if you've got backyard chickens, health officials recommend washing hands often, not touching your face after handling the birds, and not kissing or snuggling them. Another good idea, designate shoes for when you work with chickens, then keep those shoes outside.
Some practical tips.